Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make hard trance, techno, kicks, and bass grooves. There's a lot of little secrets, and this is a really big part of these tracks, so today I'm going to be showing you how to get it right. To go along this video, I just dropped a new sample pack called Best Hard Trance, Techno, Bass, and Kick Grooves Ever. The link is right at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab this. It's got these 5 kits, which all have each of the individual layers. I'll show you now. You can see for each of these, you get all the individual layers inside of these folders, plus the full Ableton files for each of them, as well as the Ableton file for the demo track, and some bonus drum loops and bonus synth loops. So you get everything you need to make a track like this in this pack. Again, link is at the top of the description. I'm going to play you this demo track now. So this is made entirely with elements from this pack. Here's some of the kick grooves. As well as some of the drum loops. And the synths. So again, link is at the top of the description to get this super quality library of samples for this style. Again, this really helps support me. I don't make a whole lot off of YouTube, but with these sample packs, I'm able to keep bringing you guys new videos like this, showing you stuff that isn't out there on YouTube. So definitely support me and grab that. Plus, support yourself making your best tracks. And yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. And let's dive in. So we're on 152 BPM, a little bit faster, and this is what the basic layout is going to look like for one of these hard trance, techno sort of kick and bass grooves. You're going to have your kick. You're going to have your main bass, which is going to be like that very subby, but still nice and crunchy and aggressive, kind of like just long bass wave. And then you're going to have another element over top, which is going to add some rhythm. So to start with the kick, it's usually just one of these hard techno style kicks, very similar to the ones you would use to make some of that melodic hard rave type of stuff I've been showing you on this channel. And you can see there's no processing. So I just want to show you guys, like, a lot of times when you think of a hard kick, you think, oh, I'm going to go add a bunch of drum bus and saturation to it. What's going to make it a hard kick is not how much you saturate it or compress it or something. It's actually just like how hard the sample is. So even though it's hard techno or hard trance, it shouldn't be hard to hear your kick. And that's why you got to keep your kick dry and just get a good sample. And then once you have a good kick, you're going to move up to the bass, the main bass. Now, this is just playing one note. Usually, it's just going to play the one note of whatever key your track is in. Sometimes, though, there will be progressions, like you could do like one of these maybe. Yeah, you can always do that with this, but the basic idea here is you're going to just start, like when you're making the bass, just do one pitch. Don't try to overcomplicate it, just one note. And then what's happening here, so we're using operator, and we're just creating this big, long waveform. Right, you can hear it resetting every time that goes don, don, don. And so what's happening is, this is made with operator, but there's no FM happening. So it's a saw wave. And really what you're going to do is you're going to start with a saw wave or a square wave. I'm going to show you another one in a minute, which uses more of like just a simple square wave. But you're always going to just start with the saw wave. And then you can bring in other oscillators to kind of like change the texture of that. Like here, for example, you can see I actually have a sine wave, but it's up a few octaves. So see, when I turn that off, and then on again, you don't even hear that too much. It's just adding this kind of like overtone. You hear that a bit more once I turn the distortion on, but it's like, it's like that. Or like this is a square wave here. If we get rid of that, it's a lot less fat. Right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to low pass it. And you're not going to use any envelope or anything like that. You just want like a nice solid bass wave. And you could use a little bit of resonance. I didn't use it here. This is something that's very particular to each different one, right? So it's going to be different every time. But then what you're going to do, after you have this really full, fat sounding thing coming out of the synth, is going to be some multi-band distortion. And this is actually a pretty simple multi-band distortion. We just have two chains. We have one which is just for the lows. Right, so you're going to keep the lows just clean. You don't need any distortion on there. And then on the mids and highs, you can see we have this overdrive. And that's where you get that nice crunchy, like, kind of distorted layer on there, right? And the idea is that you're getting that, but it's only on the mids and highs. And even though it's already very specialized, just being on the mids and highs, you're still not even hearing that much of it. It's only at 31% wet on the actual dry wet there. So it's like, it's just a layer over top of this, right? And that's how you want to think about it. Obviously, it's a layer that makes a huge difference, right? Like if I turn this off, it makes a world of difference. But that's the thing, is like once you start getting better at making music and to really make like pro level stuff, it's when you get to that point where little tiny things make a big difference like that, right? Like when you're first starting out and you just way over compress and saturate everything, this is not really going to make much of a difference if you turn it off, right? But when you have this clean thing, you know, just having a little bit of 31% of distortion on the mids and highs is all you need. So then after that, we have this utility, and this is a new technique. And what's happening, well, first of all, we're converting the bass to mono just to make sure there's no stereo stuff. But also, what we're doing is we're using this gain here, and you can see there's a very sharp automation. And basically, what this is meant to be is typically when you use this kind of a bass, obviously you need to sidechain it, right? That's the rhythm. Because if you don't have this, you just have brah, 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 and that's not very, like, grooving, right? You need this, like, kind of pulse where it's going to be dun, 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 with the kick, but not just, like, a straight eighth note. Like, that eighth note is, like, kind of, like, going into it. Right? It needs to hit off of the kick like that. Now, a lot of times for these types of tracks, people aren't just using like a basic sidechain. Like if you just sidechain this to the kick, you're not really going to get that like kind of thing you're trying to get, right? So you need a very specialized kind of like volume shaping. And there's a few different plugins you can use to do this. Like I really like using Shaper Box. This is not sponsored. That's just the one that I use. You can use like LFO Tool. There's a bunch of them. But essentially, that's what this is. This is like literally just recreating what you would do with LFO Tool or Shaper Box or Volume Shaper or something like that. It's just taking this and just on every single quarter note, like if we change the grid to quarter notes, you can see it's literally just the same automation. Like all you have to do is just draw this in one time and just duplicate it a whole bunch of times, and now you get, it's the same thing as those plugins. It's just that they do it for you. You don't have to draw the automation in and duplicate it. But again, this just gives you a more specified kind of shaping. Like when you're working with those, when you're working with just like side chaining it to the kick, you can't really see what you're doing. You can see on the meter kind of, but you still can't really like shape it specifically exactly how you want, you know? And you can do a lot with this too. Like you can just move this over here. And now it's a whole new groove. Right, so again, the little details are making a very big difference. But that's what that's doing. And then, after that, we have this EQ8 here. This is something I like to do where we're cutting below 30 hertz. Because you really can't hear much lower than like 20 or 30 hertz. But that stuff can still come through. Like, when you're mastering your track, there will still be some information there. And it will have like, you'll have less headroom to work with, basically, if you don't cut this out. So we're just cutting that out. And also I've noticed a lot of tracks, actually, you'd be surprised, they high pass their bass. Like a lot of techno these days, like when I've actually like checked it on the spectrum analyzer, they'll even have it up like there, like just high pass the bass a bunch. But I like to leave the really fat sub in there. So yeah, we're just cutting that. And then we have our final layer, which is going to be the art bass. Now, when you hear these tracks, a lot of times you might just hear this, right? And think, oh, how are they getting this super fat bass, but it's still like just this little plucky saw wave? Well, it's because this is just a layer. You need to have this. You need to have that just like fat, almost like hardstyle type of bass going, and then you can add this on top. And now it'll give you that movement, right? So the idea with this is not to create one super just massive bass wave pluck. It's to create a very specified pluck sound, right? It's just this arpeggiator 16th notes, same MIDI as the other one, saw wave, low pass filter, a little bit of a pitch envelope, and then the utility, and then a high pass filter. And again, that's all you want. You just want to create that kind of like mid-range and highs. Because you see, it'll come together as like one bass. And I'll pull up another bass here and show you an example of how I did it in this one too. See, this one we have like, this bass is a little bit less crunchy. It's based on triangle, or a triangle wave. And then we have this guy. So this is like dun 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 dun. And see, same deal. You put those together, and it kind of creates one rhythm. So that's how you want to think about this. And then again, it's just like not leaving in too much low end on the high layer. Just knowing what each thing is doing. Like again, we don't need any low end from this bass for this to be fat. So we're not going to worry about trying to like, you know, trying to make this super fat. Just get that da-da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, so that is how you do it. That is the secret to making these types of basses. It can seem hard when you don't know what you're doing, but it's actually not that complicated. You know, it's just creating that fat kick and bass and then getting the rhythm over top of that. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the best hard trance, techno, kick, and bass grooves ever. The link is right at the top of the description on my website. Don't sleep on this, guys. It's a super high quality pack. It's super affordable as well. I just wanted to create a really accessible library of samples for you guys to be able to go and create some tracks from scratch, get some new inspiration, and also learn from, because you got the Ableton files here. You literally have all the individual audio loops, plus the Ableton files, everything you need to make a track, plus the bonus drum loops and the bonus synth loops. So it's a really, really serious library here. Honestly, I shouldn't be giving this away for so cheap, but you guys get it. So yeah, go grab that. Don't sleep while it's still available. Thank you so much for all the support, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.